Well, it's been a wonderful day here in Tochigi. Well, it's actually quite overcast here, as Split B drivers and cars are set to enter round 6, the 2022 Hololive GT3 Japan Series here in Mobility Resort Motegi, or better known as Motegi. And as for the track map here, we're talking about a track length at around 4.8 kilometers, average track width around 13.5 meters, 14 corners in total, 8 to the left, 6 to the right. We're going to have 21 laps of racing here in this track in central Japan, or is that eastern Japan? Now, this is a track that is going to be significant to one driver, Andrew Rahimbayev. Andrew Rahimbayev's Hoshi is Okamimiyo, and Okamimiyo's hometown is said to be in Gunma, and Gunma is closer to Tochigi than Shizuoka back in Fuji. So this is could be labeled as the home race for Andrew Rahimbayev and Okamimiyo. And as for our target lap time, well, has been shadowed long ago as in yesterday by Alex Bowen, 148.6. But wait, whatever the case is, we're looking at target lap times of 148.985 in this cool and overcast area that is Tochigi and the circuit that we're racing in Motegi. And as for the championship context here, it gets pretty interesting there after a half of the season has elapsed. We're looking at only a 38-point gap between the championship leader Phu My and Callum Gibbons in second. Thomas Snooks is now a championship contender after a very, very good run ever since he joined Hololive GT3. Azad and Vladislav Damashev are also very solid runners in 4th and 5th. We got drivers who are still trying to find results, like Catherine Vasiliev, Wawan Suharto. We've already won a race in round 4 back in Boran, and then we have Motegi Porto hungry for a win after that second place finish in Autopolis Split B Race 2. Then we have the aforementioned Andrew Rahimbayev, who is racing in his technically home race, well, Okamimiyo's home race. We got Putri Farakama, Sergei Petrov, Wabakashiu, Stantini, Raji Kaczynski, and Yuzuki Choko. And as we're going to be transitioning over to qualifying, unfortunately, Alex Bowen has some personal commitments that she has to attend to, so she will not be available to commentate for today. And in her place will be none other than Callum Gibbons, joining us in the commentary booth for as we're about to start Split B qualifying in Hololive GT3. So Gibbo, how's the scenario for Split B so far?
Hey everyone, how you doing? Making the substitution today, even though I'm usually one of the regulars here anyway. But as for a split lead, definitely wide open in the championship as we head beyond the halfway point. As you say, only 38 points to margin for the top place in the championship. So it is definitely all to play for this round.
All to play for sure. And as we're going to be reminding you back once again, Phu My actually has 390 points in the championship lead, only 36, or is that 38? Sorry, 38 points separating between this driver and the driver behind him, Callum Gibbons, who's currently second. And as we're about to see, it's so overcast here that the drivers have now had to open up their headlights due to visibility or reducing here in Motegi. And also to note, and since it's quite overcast here, it's getting pretty chilly and cold. So we might be seeing a strategy similar to what we see in Fuji, where the overcut strategy is the better strategy than undercutting due to what you mentioned, managing to stay with the warmer tires instead of having to exit the pit with cold tires and with them struggling to warm up.
Yeah, obviously there's track conditions, and we're struggling with tyre warm-up, keeping those tyres in the optimum range for optimum grip. And obviously with the hotter conditions, we also might see some graining in some of these tyres as well, so they might wear slightly faster as the stints go on.
Yeah, as for some of the drivers here, Sergei Petrov, number 5, Nekomata Okayu Nissan, hasn't had a very stellar debut in what you call in Autopolis, and we're going to go on board with some of the drivers here. And there's Santini as well. There's Raja Kaczynski, who's also trying to bounce back after a pretty meh first half of the season. Did manage to score a podium back in Autopolis race 1. And as of speaking of which, we're about to finish an outlap with onboard Raja Kaczynski's number 74 Yusuke Choco Lexus. Gabo, how about we try to do a commentary of a lap here in Motegi, shall we?
Yeah, certainly. So we start the lap on the western section of the road course, head into the penultimate corners. You want to get a good exit here. It's a bit difficult to get right, but you want to set yourself up for your lap down this decently long front straight here. Quite a few decently long straights on this circuit, so a good chance to set yourself up. So first corner, 100-meter braking zone for third gear, and then tucking back in immediately for turn 2. It's almost like a long hairpin rather than two separate corners. Another back straight, headed back to the right hand side of the track, and in for turn 3 again, another double left hander. So still a bit more of a gap between the turns, so keeping it tucked in there. Bit time to set yourself up again, still keeping that turning input in, so again it's more like a constant radius corner than anything else. Heading into another back straight, heading back to the left hand side of the track, set up for turn 5, 27.6 for the first sector. Keeping it a little bit wide of the apex, but still keeping it on, heading out under the bridge now under the oval speedway circuit, so it's another circuit configuration here. Turn 6, keeping it nice and tight along the first corner, 46.8 for the second sector, and down to third gear for turn 7, and then turn 8, so sort of long hairpinish kind of corner, keep it nice and tucked in. Now head to turn 9, more hard braking zone, slower speed corners, first gear corner, in fact getting up to 80 kilometers an hour mid apex. And then a little bit of a straight here to head back to another hairpin towards turn 10. So again, hard braking zone, low gear corner. So first gear once again, 70 kilometers mid apex. And this was not the start finish line for the course, but the start finish line for the East Road course. So again, there's a couple of different configurations here, but of course we're using the full configuration. So heading into turn 11 now, another hard braking zone downhill. So you've got to brake slightly earlier. Head under the bridge once again passing under the oval speedway circuit, and hence the penultimate corners of turn 12, 13, bit of a little technical section here, keeping it nice and tidy. 48.8 to beat at the moment with my own time, so let's see what you can do. 45, 46, 47, 48.8. Oh, it's very close up there.
Very close for Raja Kaczynski as he puts himself in the front row, representing Yusuke Choko, number 74 Lexus. And as it stands, Count Gibbons is starting the provisional pole time of 48.854, and crucially, ahead of Phu My, who is currently sitting in 5th. So he's in a very nice position to be in a good position to retake the championship lead. And it stands like this in the race. Abakashiu scores 3rd in the number 66 Ramel Lexus. Very good job there, considering last round and on top of the Cashew is basically a no-show. And as for Catherine Vasilyev, she has set on lap 8. Azad, whole time, 1:48.762. Good job there from the Malaysian.
Yeah, good time. It's really up close there at the top 3, well, top 5 in fact, only 2 temps, and all the Lexus setting the pace at the moment, so Nissan and Honda is playing catch up.
Yeah, as we've mentioned before, and as we've seen in split A, wait for it, Thomas Snooks actually sets the faster lap time of 48.673, almost, I think, shatters Alex Bowens' lap time in split A qualifying for race 2, and as it stands, Tomashev also places himself in the front row to place, displaces the 5 other Lexus drivers. So as it stands, it's a Lexus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, locking up the first 7 positions there, Lexus, which shows the supremacy the Lexus is showing after what we've seen, the Lexus basically flexing off their muscles in split A.
Yeah, despite the Lexus flexing their strength, only 7 temps covering the field, so it's definitely not a blowout by the Lexus by any means. They just happen to have it at the moment, but there's still plenty of room there.
Ryan Kaczynski's about to set his lap time once again, 48.877. Kaczynski does not improve. Anthony has peeled into the pits. Muhammad Kashi is about to finish his last lap. Doesn't seem to improve in the second sector into the final turns. Kashi is not looking to improve on his lap time. About to finish the course here. About to finish a lap here in Oberata Mobility Result Motegi. There's on board in the number 56 Tournament Lexus. From Muhammad Kashi, he stays 7th. Catherine Vasilyev, last car in the leaderboards, only 7 tenths behind. And what about Azad? Azad is currently also competing in the championship in the top 5 as well. Where will he stand? Still 3rd. Well, he does improve. It's still not good enough for him to beat Snooks and Damashnev. As we mentioned, Snooks is the favorite to basically win here in Motegi after a strong choice from Snooks in race 1 in Alphapolis. Now he's about to flex his muscles once again. As Gizuhara Leo sets the 10th fastest lap time, still does not improve. Here's Wawa Suharto, and here's Mutifara Kamal. Wawa Suharto actually bumps Muhammad Cashew down from 7th place. Cashew now down to 8th, Suharto now up to 7th. Here's Rajan Kaczynski, who's about to finish his lap time. Now Gibbons improves. 4th place, good job from him. Kaczynski only 1/10 behind the pole time, so Kaczynski in a very favorable position to improve. Let's see what he can do to bump Kaczynski and actually start to peel it into the pits. And I think that's probably it for qualifying. Muhammad Cashew, I don't think he crossed the line. Sorry, he didn't cross the line when the timer ends. I think there's only 2 cars left. Muhammad Cashew and Catherine Vasilyev. I doubt Catherine Vasilyev will improve here. And as for Muhammad Cashew, we'll wait and see if he does improve. And as it stands, Catherine Vasilyev is not peeling into the pits, as does Muhammad Cashew. Actually, not that he hasn't already peeled. He hasn't peeled into the pits yet. Here is Cashew, does not improve. Catherine Vasilyev does not improve either. That is qualifying over. So good shake-up in the qualifying grid here as we're about to start race 1 here in Motegi for Split B. So Gamer, we'd like to hear your thoughts of the session so far.
So yeah, another good showing for the Lexus team there. So a bit of a mixed bag throughout the field. Some were able to improve on their second and final laps, not really able to get the temperature up in the tyres, so some didn't improve. Obviously those cold temperatures hampering that, and with the short qualifying session there isn't really many chances to get that good lap in.
Now as it stands, here is the qualifying session and the results, which settles the grid for race 1 here in Motegi. Thomas Newton representing Shishiro Motan sits on pole. Laszlo Damashnev alongside him in second. Where have we seen this before? Qualified second in number 19, Akira Rosato Lexus. Very good job from him. Azad in the number 18, Akira Lexus in third. Caleb Gibbons in the number 64, Roboco Lexus in fourth. Crucially ahead of Phu My, who's down to 12th. This one, the Porto is currently 5th in the revamped number 3 Tsunamaki Watami Lexus livery. Raji Kaczynski 6th in the number 74 Yuzuki Choko Lexus. Howard Suharto's the fastest non-Lexus driver in 7th in the number 20 Shiranui Flair Nissan. Mama Cashew in the number 66 Rosora Mel Lexus in 8th. Kazantini in the number 9 Minato Aqua Nissan in 9th. Kizara Leo number 40 Murasaki Shion Honda in 10th. Makes that Akushio 910, Phu My, number 63, Yukanolami Honda, 11, Phu My, not in a favorable position here to defend the championship lead. In 12, and the number 1, Tokyo Sora Nissan, Dagi Petrov in the number 5, Nagomata Okayu Nissan in 13th, and Rahimbayev in Okabimio's technically home race in Gunma, in Motegi. The number 30 Okabimio Honda, and Rahimbayev qualifies 14th, and Katri Pasisela rounds up the field. The number 11 Sarabekora Honda in 15th. As we're about to transition over into the race, we're going to need to settle our camera shots in. It's going to be a wild ride for all of the drivers involved. And as it stands, here is the start of the race. We're going to transition over to race 1 of the 2022 Hololive GT3 Japan Series Split B, round 6 here in Motegi. Snooze on pole, Damashev alongside him. And we are go. The lights out, and here it is. Snooze is trying to defend the lead, but look at the Mashnev with a very good start. Not really. Thomas Snooze holds on to the race lead as it stands. The Mashnev in second. Here's the drivers barreling down the exit of turn 2. Cal Gibbons is now trying to edge ahead of outside their neck and neck into turn 3. Mawakashi has overtaken Wawaswata. Wawaswata is bumped down to start. Kizar Leo's now up to 8th place. Wawan Smarto, and here's a lot of shuffling of position. Here's Santini trying to climb himself back up into 9th place. There's a lot of drivers barreling down into one of the few back stretches of the circuit here. Snooze leads lap 1. Mashev is in second. Gibbons third. Azad 4, Kaczynski 5th. Motor 6, Castillo 7. Lexus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There is Leo and Nissan trying to go at it to Mama Cashew for 7th place. Wawas Harto rounds at the top 10.
Yeah, back to that Lexus formation drive at the moment. They seem to sell themselves pretty quickly. A bit of jostling in the first few corners, but have quickly gotten back into their single file formation.
Yes, single file formation. The Lexus cars, the Mashnev are really lining up together. Here is Kizar Leo, the best non-Lexus driver. Now we mentioned about some drivers who have been struggling in the first half of the season and are looking for a bounce in the second half. Kizar Leo leads the 4 Hondas. Currently, so here's something to brag about for Leo, as the colder temperatures here in Motegi, it's overcast here. I would suggest, like we mentioned, we want to suggest an overcast strategy. Try to pit as late as possible. Make sure you hold on to these warm and tricky tires, even if it's worn, for as long as possible, because trying to warm up these tires is going to take much longer than usual, and you won't be vulnerable of the drivers who have yet to make a pizza, who are actually quite faster than you on more tires than your new tires when colder and on currently grading at the moment. Here's Santini trying to make it to the offensive. Now actually Santini is trying to repay the favor for what Kizora Leo to the number 9 Minato Aqua Nissan has been experiencing back in Sepang. Here's Kizora Leo trying to dive down the inside into turn 3. Santini versus Kizora Leo. It's a Akushio battle here for 8th place. Santini's now up to 8th.
Yeah, pretty good pass there, a little bit of a bump there, but clean racing nonetheless. Otherwise, with that battle now, it's kind of set up a gap between the rest of the field and the Lexus. So the Lexus are pretty much on their own now at this point, with the rest of the field in their own little battle group.
Meanwhile, another battle is forming there, and Rakibayev now on the inside of Phu My. Phu My is now dropped down to 13th place, which means Phu My is now farther away from the points than Cal Gibbons, who is currently 3rd at the moment, is poised to retake the championship lead at the moment, with a 22-point gap ahead of Phu My, that is Cal Gibbons right now. And let's see if Santini is able to catch the 7 Lexus cars currently in front.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of an ask there at this point now, caught up in this little battle pack there, like outside the points position, so it's going to get the elbows out if they want to get back into the points paying position.
And as of right now, the gap between Cashew and Santini currently 2 seconds, which is a showing, basically a telling of how good the Lexus cars are at the moment. That's what a race field monitor as it stands. So when we start lap 3, let's see who's going to commit to it. Undercut strategy at the last lap. The Mashnev sets the fastest lap in the race so far. So the Mashnev is catching Thomas Snooze at the moment. Last lap, the Mashnev is trying to look for his first race win for the number 19 Active Rototal Lexus. And speaking of race field monitor, here's Phu My, Mamakashiu, Santini. These will be the first drivers to pit, and for the driver who will be pitting later into this race, watch out for them. And Rakibayev Especially while Harto and Thomas Snooks, they will be committing to an overcast strategy and see if this overcast strategy will work in this overcast race here in Motegi.
Yeah, we said earlier that the undercut strategy may not be the most favourable, so I think the best you can do at this point is if you have to do an undercut, make sure you get out into clear air, get those clean laps in without having to be held up by anyone else.
Currently, in terms of the battles here is Vladislav Domashnev trying to catch Thomas Snooks. As we mentioned before, Vladislav Domashnev has set the fastest lap in the race so far with 48.6. Domashnev is making use of what his car has at the moment, making use of the circumstances that he has right now to catch Thomas Snooks. Now, he has gained 3/10 of Thomas Snooks the last lap. Very clean here in the exit of turn 10, barreling down into the back straight, main straight of the East Circuit. You can see Domashnev already gaining like a 10th already on Snooks. Let's see what all of these drivers could do here, as Santini still maintains a 2-second gap between himself and Cashew, while holding off the rest of the drivers here in 9 car back. So, and right now the gap is now reduced down to 0.4 of a second. Now Domashnev gains 2/10 on Snooks.
And so the gap slightly decreasing between the and the Lexus pack. I think it was around 2.5 seconds before. Now it's around 2.1 seconds. Again, another fastest lap, 48.6. Still tucking into that slipstream there as we head down the second back straight between turn 2 and 3. So it isn't a long back straight, so I dare say the slipstream would be quite effective here.
That's quite effective here, the slipstream, as we have like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 straights here, 5 medium long straights here in Motegi, so we want to pay attention if Domashnev wants to make a sudden dive bar down the inside. And as for the context of the championship, Snooks is all actually, we talked about between the championship context between Phu My and Gibbons, but we haven't talked about much about Snooks. If Snooks manages to hold on to this race lead and into this race win, who knows, then it's actually going to be Thomas Snooks who's going to be retaking the championship lead most likely, as it stands in the championship standings. And as we're going to be taking a look into the standings here at the moment, we're looking at the results as of round 5. Before this round, before round 6, Thomas Snooks is 306 points. Oh, okay, actually, we wanted to think, Thomas Snooks actually has a chance to retake the championship lead. Gibbons currently taking 55 points. Actually, no, never mind. Cal Gibbons will still hold on to the race lead. Thomas Snooks will still stay in second.
Well, nevertheless, it's still going to be close if the positions stand as they are. As I say, we're too busy concentrating on the top 2 in the championship, but it's that wide open that people in 3rd and even 4th can creep up in there. So Azad as well, not far behind Snook. So if you can hold that, then it will be a decent haul in terms of the championship.
And as for Azad, currently at the moment, Azad is currently trying to commit to a longer strategy. He's going to be one of the drivers heading later into this race. And as for the other drivers, Cashew, Domashnev. Now, here's one of the few that we want to talk about. We're talking about reverse of fortunes multiple times in the whole GT3 series. Now, we have opposing fortunes. We have opposing methods this time by Domashnev will be committing to an undercut strategy, and Thomas is committing to an overcut strategy. Domashnev is fueling low to accommodate an undercut strategy, so it's going to pit long to accompany an overcut strategy. Let's see which of these strategies will end up, as we're going to be taking a look into the progress charts. 5 laps locked in race 1. Tom Gibbons gains a position, Ski gains a position, Cashew and Leo gains a position, with Suharto being one of the biggest losers, losing 3 places from 7th place, as does Sergei Petrov, who started 13th, is now down to last place.
And Phu My as well, not really progressing up at the moment from the non-points paying position, so still stuck in that battle pack at the moment. The gap's still pretty close together between that incident on the pack.
And currently Domashnev is closing in into Thomas Snooks, and as it stands with this gap being this close, we need to watch out on who will be edging ahead into race lead. Snooks has a pretty okay exit. Domashnev is under the slipstream. The gap is still 0.4 of a second between the leading Lexus pair. And as for Santini and Kizuhara Leo, the gap is still under a second between Akushio duo. There's still a bit of damage in Santini, but I don't think it hampers him too much. And as for Vladislav Domashnev, really closing in into Snooks here. The gap is now only 0.4 of a second. Will the Mustang make use of the slipstream? The 700 meter long straight. And yes, he is gaining by 0.2 of a second. Much, but Cal Gibbons sets the personal best lap time of this race so far, as does the Porto. So we want to watch out for the other Lexus cars.
Yeah, watch out for the Lexus car. Indeed, Gibbo just sort of on his own at the moment, so just trying to make up, get a gap with the field behind him and try and get up to this leading pack as they hold each other up.
Meanwhile, Cashew is actually slower than the current Lexus pack at the moment. Cashew is breaking away from the Lexus pack. NDD is catching Muhammad Cashew at the moment. The gap is only 0.5 of a second. We'll want to watch this development right away. And meanwhile, we have the recent race winner, Rifara Kamal, in 11th place, and the Porto in 6th. So we want to pay attention to that as well, as Dust kicks up by Kisahara Leo. I know the battle is currently at Kennedy and Mohammed. Let's see what these drivers can do with let's say, different equipment and different pace here.
Yeah, different pace at the moment, but still relatively even in terms of pace. Field is still quite condensed with each other. You know, obviously the BOP is doing as it should with its race pace, so despite, you know, the kind of may look like a Lexus dominance at the moment, the field is still quite close together, relatively speaking.
Relatively speaking, that is close, and with the strategies being very, at the very least, we could be seeing something, we could be seeing a shake-up in strategy here at the moment. Last on the Masham and Santini, as we mentioned, will be committing to an early pit stop. They'll be pitting in the next 4 to 5 laps there. The pit will open at that period in time. And as for the Mashnev and Snook, the Mashnev is now very close to Snook. Will there be an overtake made? We'll wait and see if the Mashnev can have a very good exit there off of turn 2. We're entering turn 1 as we speak. Exiting turn 2. Okay, so the Mashnev has had a slightly poorer exit compared to Snook's here. Currently, Snook is still leading the race. Thirdly, holding on into first and second, the 43 and the 19.
Yeah, I'm thinking at this point, turn 3 might be the overtaking zone for the top 2. You know, getting the slipstream on the front straight, get a bit closer. Might not be long enough to get the overtake, so just keep it tucked in for the first 2 corners, get that slipstream back, and then make a move into turn 3. That's my guess, but never know, they could do it anyway.
We've seen last lap passes on the final corner here back in split A race 1 in a side-by-side finish between Alex Grant and Sean Pauly. So you mentioned that battles can happen anywhere. We just need to focus on the hot zones, which is basically the end of the longest straights, which is the main straight, the back straight of the East Circuit. You may want to pay attention to that as well. Phu My is looking into the rear end of Andrew Rahibayev is having a subpar race at the moment. The last 3 races so far for Rahibayev has been pretty milquetoast. For him so far, he has been finishing inside the point so far. Rahibayev is now being in real great danger of going outside the top 10 in the Split V Championship after round 6. And as for the Machina is losing because Thomas is really holding on to the lead comfortably. And as for Kaczynski, the battle for 4th place is slightly heating up. Azad is a bit slower than the rest of the pack. Gibbons is holding on to 3rd. Azad was in touch of 3rd place. Here is Kaczynski in 5th, Porto 6 catching 7th. And here's the rest of the drivers, the rest of the pack trying to catch the Lexus pack.
Yeah, I think those gaps are just starting to eke out now, both between the leaders and also Gibbo gap in main Lexus field. The tyre wear slowly starting to creep in. As you said, the next few laps, some are looking at pit stops.
And as it stands, Vladislav Mashnev and Muhammad Kashu, NTD, these will be the first drivers to pit. So remember what we mentioned, that they are slowing down on purpose at the end of the first stint, so that they can be able to undercut well. Meanwhile, Catherine Vasilyev versus Sergei Petrov down into turn 3. This is a battle for Silva's moving, takes up way too much curb there, Catherine Vasilyev. Vasilyev takes another bit of a curb, almost loses the car. And Vasilyev manages to catch it. By this time, Sergei Petrov is now on the offense or on the outside. Let's see if Petrov can make a move around the outside of Vasilyev. The answer is they're still neck and neck, exiting the bridge, exiting the tunnel, but it's Vasilyev's 14th place at the moment.
Yeah, very good save. Obviously, this car's letting road. You don't want to take too much curb. We've seen in some other rounds how taking curb can nearly pretty much end your race, destroy your suspension. But very good save there, keeping it on track in a decent run out, just enough to defend down the inside.
And here it is. We're looking at the battles here. Look at the fuel tanks at the moment for Lexus, NTD, and Muhammad Cashew, and also Phu My. They are currently light on field and have their tires worn at the moment, but they're looking to pit in this next lap. So we're looking at a pit window being open as early as lap 9. And here it is, the car barreling down the final 2 turns for the last time, but for some of these drivers, especially for Cashew, who's going to pit in this next lap. And as for the gaps here, the gaps have not closed down very significantly. Dukes and the Mustang still hold on to the race lead. Cal Gibbons is in 3rd, Azad 4th, is in 5th, and Porto 6th, Cashew 7th, Santini 8th, Kizahara Leo 9th, and what was hard to in 10th.
Yeah, top 3 definitely breaking the way here. The leaders still keeping their own pack, and Gibbo just sort of eking that gap slowly, sort of maintaining around that 3-second gap, but definitely gapping the rest of the field. As I said, some looking to make their pit stops in the next couple of laps, so it looks like a 50-50 strat for some of them.
And right now, we're looking at some of the on-track battles here. Thomas Nukes and Vlasa Damashnev were one taken to a bit of a story here. Aki Rosenthal has endured a lot of hardships. He is one of the slowest. She has been one of the slowest growing members in Hololive's main division, and she has contemplated about quitting early. But with her perseverance and with dedication and passion, all that stuff, Aki Rosenthal has been proven to be one of the talents you should really look out for in Hololive. And currently, Vlasa Damashnev is looking for number 19 Aki Rosenthal Lexus's first win in Hololive GT3 so far. Let's see if the undercut strategy could work. And if he could pull off the undercut strategy, hold on to this race to the 8, and given that Motegi is slightly harder to overtake in some other circuits at the moment, this will be a very popular win for Vlad Damashnev, as he's going to be the first driver to peel into the pits. He's going to commit to an undercut strategy first.
Yeah, committed one of the first ones to pit as well. I don't see anyone else going into the pits just yet. No, I've been proven wrong. We've got a few coming into the pits. Dmishev, one of the Nissans, I believe that is So yeah, quite a few heading into the pits right now. So starting off with that undercut strategy.
Undercut strategies for Vlad Damashnev, Mohamed Cashew, Santi D, and Mutri Farah Kamal. Also, Phu My, we also mentioned about Phu My going to pit first. So we have 10 drivers who have yet to make a pit stop so far. And as it stands, the next drivers to pit will be Azad, Kizara Leo, Sergei Petrov, and Matthias Juan de Porto actually. Matthias Juan de Porto is going to be pitting this next lap.
So if Snook's still maintaining the lead, not taking the pit stop at this point, so good chance to keep those warm tyres and try and get a gap going before he makes his stop.
And as it stands, the gap between Vlad Damashnev and Mohamed Cashew is currently 35 seconds. The pit window, the time loss in the pit lane, is the tire pit stop. It's around 35 seconds here in Motegi, so it's much shorter here in Motegi compared to tracks like Autopolis, where you need like 40 seconds. And currently, Vlad Damashnev is currently hovering around the 35 seconds. If he can hold, if we can get the gap down to 34 seconds, which loses aging tires, aging but warm tires, but with Damashnev's newer and older tires, we'll see if Damashnev is able to bring down the gap to 34 or 33 seconds. If it's 34 seconds or lower, Vlad Damashnev is going to retake the championship lead when Snook inevitably pits later on in this race.
Yeah, Snook's may need to consider pitting in possibly next couple of laps to cover off. Obviously, once Damashnev gets his tyres up to temperature, obviously higher fuel, but obviously fresh tyres very important here, especially with the high speed and low speed corners of this circuit.
494.46 for Thomas Snows, as Kaczynski is going to be the next driver to pit, as does Matthias Juan de Porto, as we've mentioned earlier. And as it stands, here it is. Some of the drivers here are going to cycle up into the top 5 by strategy alone. Kizara Leo's now up to 4th place, but he has yet to pit. Paolo Sarato's also yet to pit. Andrew Rakimbayev is now up to 6th as well. Vasilyev 7th. And Sergei Petrov jumps up to 8th, but only temporarily. Let's see where the gaps end up. As of right now, Damashnev is actually edging closer to Thomas Snooks. The gap is now down to 35 seconds. Here's Damashnev. barreling into the pit lane, barreling into the pit lane, barreling into turn 1, exiting turn 2. Tomashev is gaining on Thomas Snooks. This could get interesting.
Yeah, so obviously got those tyres up to temperature now. We can make the most use out of that grip, and obviously ideal situation here is in clear air at the moment, so he can just get his head down, get those fast laps in before Snooks makes his stop.
And earlier we were looking at Courage because this game against one probably looking to get their valves ready, and we've noted that Santini has not fixed his car. He chose to not repair his damage. He has said to his pit crew that his car is still driving okay even with the slight damage, so Santini still driving with the current damage and is not affording, and he's not going to afford to lose time in the pits.
Yeah, look, that damage looked like possibly just a little bit of rubber on the first lap, looked more cosmetic than anything else, so obviously not really impacting any aero performance.
Gap between Kaczynski and the Moto is currently 0.5 of a second. Both the drivers have pitted at roughly around the same time, but the Moto is aiming to catch Kaczynski, and as of right now, the Moto is holding station in 11, Kaczynski in 10. The gap between Snooks and the Basha is now under 35 seconds, 49.579 for Snooks. Let's see what the Basha can end up.
Yeah, Snooks still stretching out that stint, still using those warm tyres, but worn as well. Gibbo also still out there as well as Leo comes into the pit. So some people stretching out their stints, but as I showed at the moment, the mission there with those now warm and fresh tyres, getting those really fast laps in, so it could be pretty close heading towards the next phase of pit stops.
Currently, Leo is spinning, Santini is barreling down into the final section of the circuit. Leo still into the pit, having his car serviced. Past Leo, and Leo has exited his pit box. Santini is barreling down into the main straight. Let's see where Leo ends up. He has exited ahead of Santini. The off-gas strategy has worked, and there's contact between Leo and Mama Cashew. There's a bit of a tangle between these two drivers here. And it's Cashew taking 11, but he has a 1 damage. Now under pressure from Santini, who is going to be taking that position away from Leo. Down the inside for Santini. Santini's 12th place currently at the moment. Well, Leo has the better exit off of turn 4 into turn 5. Mizuhara Leo on the outside. Oh, a bit loose there for Santini. Let's see who is going to edge ahead. It's going to be Santini's 12th place. He may have edged ahead of Cashew, but Cashew actually bumped Leo off. And that is going to basically put Cashew up into 11th.
Yeah, a bit of fumbling on pit exit there. Cashew sustaining front end damage, so possibly losing that front end aero performance, but for now still keeping track position.
As it stands, Alexander Mashnev is now really closing in into the gap between himself and Thomas Snook. The gap is now 34 seconds. The chance of him passing Thomas Snook in the undercut strategy is getting real. Alexander Mashnev is looking for that race lead as Adak pits off fourth.
Yeah, top two at the moment still haven't done their pit stuff, so Snooks are given still trying to along 3.6 seconds the gap. I think with these deltas at the moment, we're possibly looking at a side-by-side battle for the lead as they do their pit stops.
We've seen this before with Dan Powell and Alex Bowen. We see the same thing with Thomas Snooks and Alexander Mashnev for 9267 for Alexander Mashnev. The gap is still closing between these drivers here, Mashnev and Snooks. The Mashnev is now under 34 seconds. The Porto is currently still holding on to 8th place at the moment. We still have 4 drivers who have yet to hit into this race here in onboard Phu My. Not in a very good position to defend his championship lead. And as it stands at the moment, now Gibbons is going to retake the championship lead as they take the championship lead away from Phu My. First time the Tokyo Sora Nissan does not lead the championship standings ever since the start of the season.
Yeah, time running out for Phu My, not really in that battle pack at the moment, so not really looking like to get points. There's still some time left, but obviously I don't think it's going to be quite high up in the standings by the end of this race.
Here it is, the last 4 drivers are going to pit. Thomas Snooks is peeling into the pit, as does Wawan Suharto as well. Callum Gibbons is also going to peel into the pit, and Rahimayev gets the call to box this lap. We will see Blaza Damashna barreling down the back straight as we see at the moment. We'll see if Damashna is able to undercut Snooks, and if he can do it, so with how it's slightly difficult to overtake in Motegi, this could be the race for Blaza Damashna. This could be the race to lose for the Japanese registered driver.
Yeah, very important pit stop now for Snook's crew. Want to get those tires on very quickly. As I said, despite might be overtaken, is still in the box at the moment. Just came out now, so I think we are going to have the undercut. No, heading into pit exit now. It's going to be a side-by-side into the first corner.
Not really, because the Blaza Damashnev has taken the championship. The race lead here in Motegi. It's now Blaza Damashnev's race here in Mobility Resort Motegi, as we are now 7 laps away from the race. Here are drivers who have completed all of their pit stops. Santini is still leading the Nissan Honda pack in 8th place, but more crucially, Damashev actually built a 3-second gap between himself and Thomas Snooks. And Azad versus Gibbons. Oh, kiss up the dirt there, Azad. Gibbons is gonna try to get himself in a prime position to catch Azad for third, but looking at the contest here at the moment, down the inside. Count Gibbons into, a bit of a rub there. Takes a lot of curb there for Count Gibbons. Because he and the porter is going to try to catch Gibbons into the outside section of the oval. Gibbons trying to go for the move down the inside of Azad for another podium position. But it's not working for him at the moment. Currently, it's Damashev taking the race lead.
Yeah, so contrary to what we thought, the undercut being the more favoured strategy for the leading group, Snooks and Gibbo losing out. However, they do have fresher tyres. It's a bit harder to overtake here than some of the circuit, so they're going to have to get their elbows out if they want to get their position back. As for Snooks, 3.2 seconds the margin, so it's a bit of a tough ask to make that gap, but I think Gibbo is still a lot more to play for the podium. There's still that nice little gap group there.
As Gibbo has mentioned before, one thing to catch up to the other driver in front of you, it's another thing to pass them. And currently, even with the fresh tires here, Thomas Snooks, even with the fresh tires that he has at the moment, Snooks is going to have a tall order to catch and actually pass Blaza Damashnev by pure racing alone. Because we've seen this with the previous 2 races in Split A. Even with the 2 matching cars, it's going to be difficult to overtake. So right now, as it stands, Snooks is currently trying to catch Damashnev, but the gap is still 3.2 seconds. And with the fresher tires by around 6 to 7 laps, Snooks is going to try to catch Damashnev, but we'll see if he's going to be able to overtake him for the race win.
Yes, I think after the pit stops, obviously Gibbo losing now, getting back into that main Lexus pack, so some of the gaps have closed down a bit between those groups. We've got a few battles like under a second, the gaps all just over a second as well, but it's back to the usual 1-7 for the Lexus group.
And currently it's a Lexus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's a Lexus already in the first 7 positions here. Anthony is trying to catch Mamakashiu. Plus damage has been bumped out for Santini. Wawan Swato is in 9th place. Carleos now down to 10th. Speaking of the driver order, here's the August start. You can see Edwin Himai coming from 14th to 12th, 16th from 65th. Cashew and Lee gaining 1 position, Hartle losing 2 positions. Blaza Damashnev manages to overtake Spook's strategy with the undercut strategy. But as it stands right now, we're looking at the gaps between Blaza Damashnev and Thomas Snooks. The gap is now down to 2.6 seconds. The tire degradation is real for Damashnev.
Yeah, so Snooks now with those warmer tyres and obviously a few laps fresher than the leader as well, so that gap is closing down now. As we were saying before, it's obviously very tough to overtake, but I think Snooks may just have enough time to catch up, but he's really going to have to get aggressive if he wants to make that move to the lead.
And currently we are now in lap 16 at the moment. 6 laps to go here in race 1, Split B, round 6, so 2022 Hololive GT3 Japan Series here in Mobility Resort Motegi. Here we're seeing some of the drivers barreling down into turn 1. Matisse Wonderporto crash off of his 2nd place back at Autopolis for trying to bring Motegi and all of the Motegi's. The live gaps, the intervals at the moment. We're looking at a battle heating up for 3rd place there. Azad is getting pretty sluggish there off the exit. Obviously getting overall around the circuit. They're losing touch to Thomas Snooks. Thomas is catching Vladislav Domashnev, and with everyone, with Azar basically forming a train behind him, we see some tasty battles here in the final stage of race 1.
Yeah, definitely tasty indeed, Snooksy. As I said, still closing that gap, but I think just not closing it quick enough, because I think, you know, if he wants to go for the overtake, you're going to probably want at least a couple of laps to have a go at it, so he's going to definitely want to probably catch half a second a lap if he wants to be in contention.
And as it stands right now, the gap is now closing down to just over 2 seconds here. Gibbons is now only 8 tenths behind Azad on board number 64 Robocall Lexus. Pretty decent exit there for Callum Gibbons there. He's actually gaining actually compared to Azad. The gap is now 7 tenths of a second as they barrel downhill into turn 11 as they're about to re-enter the mobile section of the track. Here's Gibbons holding on to 4th place, Azad in 3rd. The Porto is currently holding on to 6th place as well. And actually, as for the live gaps at the moment, Phu My is only 5 tenths behind Phu My. 49.385, 48.752 personal best for Thomas Snooks. The gap is he's currently gaining on Vladislav Domashnev by 6 tenths of a lap that last lap. So the chances may be real for Thomas Snooks, but of course he has to overtake Vladislav Domashnev if he wants to win this race.
Yeah, once again, we may see a desperate last lap dive at this rate. I think at this point, like, it is at half a second, so I think it probably might catch up towards the second or the penultimate or the final lap of the race, so maybe some last lap dives here.
And as it stands right now, Thomas Snooks is in 2nd place, currently catching Vladislav Domashnev. Azad in 3rd place, Gibbons 4th. He is actually catching up to Azad as well, so maybe we want to pay attention to this battle as well.
Yeah, Gibbons still just gapping the group of Kaczynski and DePorter, so not really under pressure from them now, so he can just knuckle down and try and get back to his podium position. I think despite, if he still loses the podium position, I believe 4th would still be enough to take the championship lead.
Yes, looks like with a 4th place is 43 points, and with Phu My not scoring points, and currently still only scoring 75. Yes. Looks like number 64 Robocall Lexus is currently being driven by Cal Gibbons. Yes, the car will retake the championship lead as it stands here at the moment. Meanwhile, the Porto is also chasing at the skateboard 5th place. Tochigi is trying to catch Casio as well. The last few laps is going to get pretty feisty here for the drivers battling for each of their respective positions at the end of race 1.
Yeah, spicy indeed. Gap still closed now, so I think it's just Matt holding at around 1.5 seconds. And I think Snooks didn't really gain as much. Still 48.8, so in the 48 still pretty decent, but I think not really catching up as quickly as before, but still a little bit of time left.
Yes, and currently the Domashnev is currently feeling jubilated right now, leading for Aki Rosenthal, obviously. Just like Aki Rosenthal, last time the Domashnev has been suffering through some kind of hardship throughout some time. Obviously, you know, we talked about Aki Rosenthal almost giving up in the middle of her career because she's not popular enough compared to the other members. But now we're seeing Aki Rosenthal try and succeed as one of Hololive's premier virtual YouTubers. And we have Vladislav Domashnev trying to consistently bringing home this car to good results. Since his debut in Hololive GT3, he scored a 5th and a 2nd. A 2nd and a 5th. We may wonder when Vladislav Domashnev may be able to take this race win. Could this race be it? We'll wait and see, as Domashnev has only just over 3.5 laps to go, trying to defend from Thomas to have the fresher tires against the worn tires that Russia currently has.
Yeah, looking at the championship standings at the moment, so Snooks and Domashnev, there's only an 11-point margin there, so I think Domashnev might actually be able to jump Snooks at this current position. You'll probably know more than I do, but it's definitely a lot to play for in terms of the championship context.
And as for Vladislav Domashnev, actually, Vladislav Domashnev is currently sitting at just over 290 plus points. Actually, no, so only 295, and actually, with the huge shakeup of the championship at the moment, now Gibbons is looking to retake the championship lead. Thomas Snooks and Vladislav Domashnev will actually be not far behind. Looking at how 1st and 4th is going to be just around a smidge of around 10 to 15 points. That's how close the championship currently is for the top 4.
Yeah, so here we really want to get back that podium position, try and get some sort of gap in this championship, otherwise it's not really going to be altogether. So Phu My still outside the points paying position, so likely to still sit on that 398 points and tumble down a bit.
And currently the Mustang and Snook's gap has closed down a bit, but Snooks is actually catching way slower than he did previous few laps. Snooks is still 1.2 seconds behind the Mustang. Mustang is holding on to the race really comfortably with his slightly more worn tires. Gibbons is catching Azad, but would it be enough? As a quarter and Kaczynski.
Yeah, still like getting Gibbons not really under getting pressure from Kaczynski, still 4 seconds the margin there, so definitely faster than the main Lexus pack, but again not quite close enough to Azad to really go for a move, so really going to have to tuck into this to actually the gap slightly increasing, so Gibbo may have like used most of the freshness of the tyres and may just have to settle for 4th, just running out of time now.
But meanwhile, Sparta is actually catching the safety for 8th place down into turn 10. Let's see, Sparta a really good exit there, loses a bit of time, loses a lot of time compared to Santini. The exit is 4 compared to Santi in front of him. So he's going to hold on to 8 and 9 respectively. The real on board, but Kaczynski continuing for Lexus. Currently holding on to 5th pretty decently there, and yes, Snooks is catching the Mustang, 2 laps to go. The gap is still only 1/10 of a second there. The closing rate is now down to 1/10 of a second, so the Mustang may just as well be able to hold on to this race win.
Yeah, I think just enough in that zone, so 1 second, I think Snooks is just in that zone to start catching some of the slipstream, but I don't think it's going to quite be enough, just running out of laps and possibly running out of tyres as well. Same for Gibbo as well, still not really catching, still got that 7/10 margin, so both of those who stretched out their stints looks like they're going to lose out overall with their strategy choice.
And currently we are only at just over 1.5 of a lap to go. Here's onboard Thomas Snooks there. The gap is now closing down to just over a second. Kobashi holding on to the race lead, representing Aki Rosenthal in the number 19 Aki Rosenthal Lexus. Thomas Snooks in second. Now Gibbons is going to be settling for 4th place as does Azad, going to hold on to the podium. It's still going to be a good haul of points for Azad, who's also in his championship hunt. As he's trying to catch Mama Cashew for 7th place. Thomas Sato is actually not far behind. They're very close there as looking at the leading pair. They're going to start the final lap in a Lexus 1-2 with a Lexus 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Which means the Lexus will be logging into the top 1-7 spots as we're about to start the final lap here in race 1 split B here in Motegi.
If my knowledge serves me correctly, I believe Motegi was built by Honda, so a bit ironic here that the Lexus are outshowing the Hondas here.
And currently we are talking about how Aki Rosenthal is a very successful content YouTuber by all means. She has recently released one of her singles earlier this month, Rose of the Lamp. So if you are a Rose type, you will enjoy Aki Rosenthal's content, you may just as well hop onto one of her songs, Rose of the Lamp. And as it stands right now, Onslaught the Mustang is probably that rose on that lamp in Aki Rosenthal right now, and she is here to take the first win for the number 90 Aki Rosenthal Lexus. Meanwhile, Cal Gibbons is going to be trying to be contended for 4th place. He's not going to be trying his best to catch Azad here. The photo, meanwhile, is actually closing into Kaczynski. So that everyone is going to hold station with the position that they're currently having at the moment. But whatever the case is, Aki Rosenthal being this what you call one of the more unique all-line members out there. And with Plaza the Mustang holding on to the race lead very well there into the exit of turn 9. What a story this will be for Plaza the Mustang. He's also in the championship battle here at the moment. And right now, he has a chance to probably fight for the championship representing Aki Rosenthal.
Yeah, good for the championship indeed, and good overall for the top 5 those in the championship, with the exception of Phu My, is obviously still not in the points paying position, so I think he'll be the only one in the top 5 in the championship that is not to score points in this race.
In the top 5 either, if I'm not mistaken, well. Meanwhile, the front two drivers here are barreling into the final two turns. Vladislav Damashnev, as a very loyal Rosenthal, is going to score the win here in Motegi, representing Aki Rosenthal. Vladislav Damashnev takes the big W here in race 1 in Motegi. Thomas Dukes finishes second, and Azar holds off to the final podium position ahead of Cal Gibbons in 4th.
Yeah, great performance on Damashnev as well, really using that undercut strategy well as the rest of the Lexus crew come through. Kaczynski, Topoto and Cashew.
And meanwhile, Lee, Suharto and Leo, the remaining drivers here in the Nissan and Honda, he and Suharto are currently 8th and 9th, Suharto Leo in 10th. Farah Kamal couldn't defend her race win from their last race in Automobiles Race 2, is in 11th. And Rahim Bayev in what is technically Kamimio's home race in Gunma, in finishes 12th. Phu My 13th, Patrick Vasiliev 14th, and Sergei Petrov in 15th. I think quite slow there off the line. This could be a problem there. Number 5 Nakamoto December will probably one update later, but I think it's fine there. Meanwhile, Vladislav Damashnev, hats off to him. He manages to bring home a victory for Aki Rosenthal, so whatever the case is, a very popular win. It's not exactly a really popular win, but it is very nice win for Vladislav Damashnev. And now he is now a very much established championship contender here in Split B.
Yeah, it's definitely very much an open championship now, and definitely closed the gap up in the top of the table. And as we'll show after the results, we'll see how close they are.
And speaking of the results, here are the race results here at the moment. Vladislav Damashnev brings home the W for Aki Rosenthal and number 90 Aki Rosenthal Lexus. Thomas Hughes, number 42 Chishiro Botan Lexus, finishes second. Here's Azad in third. Cal Gibbons in fourth. The top five, 4 of the 5 of the championship contenders finish in the top 4. Raj Kaczynski is in fifth. Matej Zuan Deporto 6th. Mamakachio 7th. Sandy Lee 8th. Mawan Suharto finishes 9th. Kizuhara Leo finishes in the top 10. Well, missing rounds out the top 10. Putri Farakama finishes 11th. And Rahim Bayev finishes 12th. Phu My finishes 13th, the only one in the top 5. The championship leader, no less, finishes in 13th place outside the top 10. Patrick Vasiliev in 14th, and Sergei Petrov rounds up the final places in the grid so far. We're going to be transitioning over into the championship permutations at the moment. But for now, we're gonna need to hear your thoughts about the race so far, Gibbo. What are your thoughts of the race, Split B race 1 here in Motegi so far?
Yes, I was sort of proven wrong in terms of what the more effective strategy would be. Those that stretched out their stints for the overcut were the ones that lost out the most. So I think what potentially going into race 2, we're looking at possibly the undercut strategy being more favourable. You know, get clean air, get more favoured track position, and decently defend for the rest of the race as it's hard to overtake here.
And as it stands here, yes, we are correct. We have a new championship leader for the first time since the start of the Hololive GT3 season, especially in Split B. We're going to be taking a look into the championship standings here. And yes, Cal Gibbons finally takes the championship lead away from Phu My, the first Lexus driver to hold on to the championship lead here in Hololive GT3 right now. And as for the championship at the moment, only, wait for it, we're going to need to take a look into the championship context. 8 points separating first to third in the championship standings. Thomas Dukes is not far behind with 381 points in fourth. Azad in fifth and 351 points. So right now we have all to play for in this championship. Patrick Vasiliev is still 6th place. Wawas Hato 7th. Matej Zuan Deporto 8th. And Rahim Bayev 9th. Putri Farah Kamal is in 10th. Sergei Petrov 11th. Raj Kaczynski 12th. Pomakashiu 13th. Santini 14th. And Kizuhara Leo is in 15th, unfortunately. And as for some of the other championship contenders here, we'll be taking a look into some of them later on in race 2. But as it stands here, this could be interesting championship content. Well, it has gone interesting. We have a new championship leader in Cal Gibbons. So as we're about to get race 2 underway, but starting with the qualifying session right now, as for the championship, what are your reactions to it, Gibbo?
I'm trying to figure out how to say this without being biased to my own car, but obviously, you know, very good performance there, and definitely holding his own up there. But as you said, it's definitely very close, so we could potentially even see another change for the lead as we head into the second race.
Right now, Kizara Leo is trying to get himself out on the track. He wants to be getting his qualifying session on already. Here's Farah Kamal as well, pulled herself out onto the racetrack. Phu My as well. And then we have all the other drivers here trying to get themselves to the qualifying trip. Now, compared to race 1, which has been very much overcast, this race, for this race, however, it's gotten pretty sunny. The clouds have cleared, and now we're going to be seeing some fresh sunlight, warmer weather, and basically the undercut being stronger than ever here in Motegi here at the moment.
Yeah, it's definitely a higher track temperature, higher ambient temperature, higher tire temperature overall, so overall better grip possibly for better racing, and as you said, the undercut will definitely be the more favoured strategy coming into race 2.
And right now, the championship leaders have not gone out of the track yet. Here's the newly crowned championship leader here in Count Gibbons. Here is Colin Svartover, is only in 7th, or yeah, he's in 7th in Split B at the moment. And then Rakim Bayev is also going to try to bring home something for Okamibio in her technically home race in this race in Motegi. But there's one to Porto. Also looking to get some improvements here. Let's see if the Porto get home and they score the lap of the greats here. So the Rashnev is the current race winner, current defending race winner, gone out of the pits right now. There's Thomas Nukes. He's currently in 3rd place here. There's Azad, there's Count Gibbons finally gets on the track. Santini's the last driver to get out on track. But first, let's take a on board into Kizuhara Leo. We're about to commentate, but I'll be the one commentating on this lap. 8 straight, 600 meters, I think. 100 meters, breaking into turn 1. Sandy D exits in, I think, the wrong time possible for Sandy D, and this will actually harm his Leo's lap time. Manages to get himself out of the way. Thank goodness for Sandy D. Leo free break and to do the 170 meter board. Trail break into turn 3. Don't get yourself too much off the track. Keep your arc steady into exiting turn 4. Okay, you may want to take a sip of Milo into back straight in turn 5. Break at 100 meter for I think this will do 150 in turn 5. You want to enter the oval portion of the track. Here is the exit into turn 6. Into the X section, turn 7 and 8. Keep a nice smooth arc in. Make sure you hit both APCs at the right time. Turn 9. There's the 100 meter board. Break at 50 meter board. It's a pretty tight corner here, turn 9. Got a good exit there on one of the mini straights here. Into turn 10. 50 meter board, turn 10. Easy now into the exit. Focus on the exit as much as possible. Into the Hololive. Got the Hololive alternative billboards that we have mentioned yesterday. Turn 11, you want to enter the oval section of the track again. Break at 100 meter board into turn 11. Okay, 774 in the second sector. Into turn 12. And into the chicane that is 13 and 14. Which is easy here. Off on the curve just a bit. And that is the lap here of Motegi for Kizuhara Leo. 147, 48, 49, 50. Yeah, Santini's excursion into his path is setting himself up to have a pretty meh lap time, but for Farah Kamal though, in 3.5, Kizuhara Leo is actually one of the faster cars out there. Want to pay attention to him though.
Yeah, it's sort of not exactly what you expect for the Banker Lab. You think, a track's more rubbered in, possibly faster as well, those temperatures. We'll have to see how the Lexus gang goes, but I think maybe just slightly taking it easy on these Banker Labs and hopefully be much more improvement into the second and third laps.
As it stands right now, here are some of the other drivers trying to get their laps ready. Raja Kazitsky into the final turn. Raja Kazitsky represented in number 74. Lexus. 153.89 basically hammers down the lap time 15.38. Cashew is in second. It's a Tokomelty front row as it stands right now. Sergey Fedorov has a decent lap in third place. After no show in the first 3 races that he has entered so far. Over Samarto, fourth.
Yeah, I think possibly with these slower lap times, what might be happening is that, the temperature's so great now that they might actually go overheating their tyres during that, obviously putting their load in the tyres on the fast corners as the Porto goes at 50.2. So we're not seeing those 49s or 48s that we saw before.
Right now the track has been continues his form, finishing currently in second at the moment. Thomas Stokes is in fourth place. And as for some of the riders here, Azad, 155.2. Now Gibbons, current championship leader, where would he stand? Second. That's a good job for there from the current championship leader.
Yeah, good lap indeed, and crucially ahead of his championship rivals.
And currently Kizarilio, 151.182. Santini, 159.75. Kizarilio will have one more shot to try to get himself into challenging the Lexus cars. As of right now, for the car come off has a lap time of 1 second slower than what is going to go for 151.3. And we're looking at the drivers here, Phu My, Captain Cecilia, will she improve? Not quite. She stays 14th.
So yeah, still not seeing those fast laps that we saw in the previous qualifying session, and it's a bit more of a spread this time. I believe it was around 7 to 8 tenths throughout the field in qualifying 1. This time it's a 1.6 second gap with Phu My in last place. So again, not doing favours for himself for the championship.
Yeah, Phu My is currently in last, which is seriously going to injure his chances of holding on into at least the top 5, as it seems, with all of the drivers being close to each other. It's a wide open championship. As you see, Juan Suarto and Joaquin by barreling into the pits. That's their qualifying session over. Motegi won the Porto. 143, 44, 45. Let's see where he ends up. Does not improve though, but holds on to pole position. That his time, that him still standing in provisional pole. Last slide, the Mashnev. He managed to hold that left behind. Well, 2 tenths lower than his previous lap. Thomas Nukes, 50.7. And then have Azad. Does not actually improve, but it's not able to bump other drivers off of the top 5. Now gives a hold on to second place. Zohara Leo is in 10th place at the moment. Sandy Lee's not far behind. So Zohara Leo improves. The answer is yes. Bumps him by up from 9th to 10th.
Yeah, looks like once again a Lexus 1 to 7 here, and deported with provisional pole. I don't think that anyone's going to beat that. So 50.2 for that, and Gibbo crucially just ahead of his championship rival, so has the favourite track position currently.
With 4 cars left, there is Catherine Vasiliev. Catherine Vasiliev, where will she be? She does not improve. Unfortunately, Logic is the third last car on track right now. As Cashew and Sergei Petrov. Kaczynski. Where does he end up from 4th on the grid? 9, 153.83. Was Sergei Petrov. Apparently on straight for right now. Cashew does not improve. Sergei Petrov does not improve either, and that's the end of the qualifying session. So Gibbo, as we're about to line up these cars to the grid, we'd like to hear your thoughts as Motegi the Porto scores his second pole in Hololive GT3.
Yeah, it's a good performance getting pole indeed. Not as fast as we saw in qualifying 1, but still a decent spread throughout the field. Again, Lexus 1 to 7 with Gibbo crucially qualifying ahead of his championship rivals, as I said before.
And currently, Motegi the Porto sits on pole. Number 3, Tsunamaki Watame. Lexus, Callum Gibbons is in second. Vladislav Domashnev in third. Raji Kaczynski 4th. Thomas Nukes 5th. Azad 6th. Mohamed Cashew is in 7th. Santi D is in 8th. Kizara Leo in 9th. And Rakhimbayev in 10th. Sergei Petrov in 11th. Putri Farah Kamal in 12th. Wawan Suharto 13th. Catherine Vasiliev 14th. And Phu My, unfortunately, will have to start the race at the back due to a slightly poor qualifying performance. He's basically nowhere here in Motegi. We're going to be transitioning over into the race, and we're going to be some of the drivers trying to adjust their cars to their strategy. And as it stands right now, this could be very crucial for a lot of these drivers involved. As we're going to be panning into some of the next drivers here. Here is the start of the race here in Split B. Here is the Porto on pole. Callum Gibbons in second. Who's going to edge ahead into turn 1? Here, Motegi. And we're racing here in this track. And look at this. Callum Gibbons doesn't have a good run there. Deporto will hold on to the championship lead. I mean, the race lead. Callum Gibbons is in second. Has a pretty meh exit into exiting turn 2. There is Vlad Damasha trying to catch Callum Gibbons. The gap is only a few tenths of a second. A lot of drivers squabbling for position here. Look at Farakama gains a position now. She's up to 11th. Vasiliev now up to 13th. There's Sergei Petrov trying to challenge Putri Farakama for 12th place. No, 11th place there. Some drivers kicking the dust off the track. Here is Callum Gibbons in second place. Here's Snooks and Azad side by side for 5th place. Kazu is going to be under pressure from Santi D. Santi D is now up to 7th place. Rakimbayev and Leo trying to their battle side by side. Here is Leo holding on to 9th place. Suharto is now edge Vasilia for 13th place. Just like race 2 yesterday in split A. We're seeing a Matic first lap here at the moment. Some of the battles have not been finished yet. As Santi D climbs up to 7th place, tries to score the Lexus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And let's see what Santini can do to hold on into 7 and up.
Yeah, Deporto already set up a decent gap, already almost a second now to Gibbons. Gibbons crucially able to hold the inside line the first couple of corners and maintain that second position, vital for the championship at this point. And as I say, knee spoiling that Lexus formation, so definitely more aggressive first lap from the field.
And right now, we could be seeing Catherine Brazil trying to make a move around the inside, but she's too far back of Suharto, fellow Gen 3 teammate, representing Usara Pecora and Shiranoe Flair respectively. Tries to get a good wide exit. Vasiliev just not close enough there for Vasiliev to try to make a move. And as it stands, the Porto holds on to the race lead. Gibbons in second, Damashnev third, Kaczynski fourth, Thomas Nooks fifth, Azad sixth, Santini the first non-Lexus car in 7th, Cashew is in 8th, Leo 9th, and Rakimbayev is currently holding on to 10th.
Yeah, still maintaining that 8/10 gap at the moment, so send early control to try good conversion off the line from pole position. We'll say everyone's mostly settled into their single file formation, mostly keeping within a second of each other, so no major incidents so far.
It's currently the Porto leading this race. We mentioned last time out for Split B that it has been Watame has a song, which is her song. And right now, it's the Porto's song and dance for him to hold on to the championship lead as Renner tries to challenge and Rakimbayev for 10th place. He is not close enough to make a move around the inside of turn 5 there for Sergei Petrov. Parakam also holding on to 12th place. Green mesh showing there for the number 63 Yukihana Lamy Honda. As for Vladislav Damashnev, recent race winner there is currently holding on very steady in the podium. Still is in 5th place. Gibbons is in 2nd, so Damashnev needs to make some inroads that he needs to pass to Gibbons ASAP. As for the championship standings, as for race monitor at the moment, Phu My for Farakama will be the last ones to pit. For the first drivers to pit, watch out for them. Mateus Juan Deporto, Wawan Suharto, Raji Kaczynski, and Rakimbayev. Izaraleo will actually come into an overcut strategy. Santini will come into an undercut strategy. And as is Callum Gibbons, so watch out for them. They will be the first drivers to pit.
Yes, I think the undercut strategy will be more favoured this time around. We did see how the undercut worked in the overcast conditions. We don't necessarily have that issue with tyre temperature this time, but obviously getting those fresh tyres and that clean clip track position will be more favoured here.
And as it stands at the moment, the Porto has the fastest lap of 150.291. Callum Gibbons is only a second behind the Porto. A lot of these drivers trying to hold on and get settled into this race here, as we are now currently 1/7 of the race here in Split B, race 2. Kaczynski is in 4th place at the moment. Azad is in 6th. They all have a gap. Look at a lot of these drivers having a gap from of just under a second. And as it stands at the moment, here is Santini trying to hold off Mama Cashew. He is actually losing ground to Azad. So we may want to pay attention to the Honda guys trying to camp Cashew out of the top 6 the Lexus guys are currently in.
Yeah, I think Cashew may be faster on race pace, but obviously not in the favoured track position, being held up by knee and now under pressure from the Honda as well. So yeah, definitely not in the ideal position.
Currently Farakama is trying to pile in the pressure into Sergei Petrov. Exiting turn 9, only 5 tenths separating the two. not close enough for a lot of these drivers. For Farakama, for Sergei Petrov, no moves are going to be made yet, as the drivers are going to be settling into the race. So right now we're going to need to take a bit of a chill here at the moment. We're going to need to settle down and just take it easy while we're about to wait for the next move to be made. And as it stands right now, Cashew trying to catch up to Santini. The gap is only at 5/10 of a second.
And so around 5/10 or just 6/10 of a second now, Gibbo and Mishnev as well. So given slightly, well, actually matching the, well, top three actually matching the race pace of the leader. So not really into any of each other's gaps. So usually consistent 150s from the first half of the field and 151s from the second half. So no one really attacking each other, but no one really breaking away either.
So as it stands right now, Cal Gibbons will have at most 6 laps to hold on to this strategy at the moment, so I'm not going to be surprised if he ends up hitting on lap 7, as does the other driver that is this one, Porto, who will hit as late as lap 9, lap 10, and also some of the other drivers. So watch out for the drivers making the other cut as Azad. Now actually catch you, getting way close there to Santini, but no moves are not going to be made yet. A lot of drivers losing their rears there on the exit of turn 5. So there's going to be an interesting insight to see how the drivers are wrestling themselves around the circuit.
So yeah, Cashew been able to slightly break away from Leo now, 1.90 under pressure. As for the top three, Michev still less than half a second in there, so definitely well within that attacking distance. Wanting to get that slipstream as we head onto the backstroke on the east course. I think 5/10 to get really not close enough to go for a dive here, but we can definitely use that slipstream.
Tomashev is currently third at the moment, only 5/10 separating him between Gibbons at the moment, the current championship leader. Phu My is not enjoying his very nice fortune here. Currently 15th at the moment, no points will be scored for round 6 for Phu My, who will unfortunately lose out to other drivers such as Motegi de Porto, Cal Gibbons, Razan Tomashev, Thomas Snooks, and Azad. So it's a huge blow for the championship for what was the championship leader in Split B.
Yeah, so what was the championship lead, as they're not scoring points in the last race either, so no points for this weekend, so it's all to play for the rest of the field, so including Gibbo, Timishnev and Snooks, and I think Azad as well was a little sniff in there as well, so definitely to play for the first few positions.
And right now the Porto is holding on into this race lead, as we're going to be looking into the inside of some of the guys here. So, in regards to Vaca Tomashev right now, I would like to believe that he's currently very elated that he won a race. The first time, the 19 car wins in Hall GT3. And for the other, and it looks like the Porto may just as well get the redemption he needs if he holds on to the race lead. After trying to attack the Farakama in Autopolis race 2, but just couldn't get the move done. This could be a very huge morale boost for the Porto if the Porto can pull off this win.
Yeah, I think the Porto had a very good result last round as well at Autopolis, so definitely continuing that decent momentum. Still breaking away from Giro, 1.6 seconds the margin now, and Dmytrenko still maintaining around half a second, 7/10 gap as well. So again, second and third not really breaking away from each other.
Zora Leo is still the best Honda driver in the field at the moment, beating out Andrew Rahimayev, Uchi Farakama, and Katrin Vasilyev. And right now, Zora Leo is holding steady in 9th place at the moment. Unfortunately, still going to populate the bottom part of the championship as it stands at the moment. But for Kaczynski, also a good run for him, as Mateus won the points as the fastest lap of the race, 150.202 from the Brazilian so far. More in the case of Kaczynski, the Lexus drivers are having a field day in Motegi at the moment, really rubbing those wins off of Honda and Nissan so far. So it's going to be a Lexus sweep here as it stands at the moment, with all Lexus cars winning in the track that's owned by Honda and the track that's closest to the Nissan factory in Tochigi.
Well, one is not necessarily rubbing salt on the wounds. Cashew is still stuck behind near the moment. 6 attempts to margin. Was attacking a bit more before, but just not really quite getting the overtake done. So I think Cashew may want to rely on strategy here to get ahead.
And currently, Cashew is on an overcut strategy. Santini is on an undercut strategy. We have varying strategies here at the moment, and it looks like the first pit may come sooner or later, as we could be seeing the first pit stops coming in on lap 7. And guess who's going to be trying to make the first moves? Alan Gibbons, Santini, Raj Kaczynski, and Himbayev, Matias Porto. These will be the guys who will be pitting early on into this race. As we're pitting late into this race, we have Kizuhara Leo, especially Mutsuhara Kama, Thomas Snooks. These will be the drivers who will be coming into the overcut strategy.
Yes, I think Domeshchev maybe just slightly stretching out the stint more this time, maybe just a lap or 2 ahead of the main pack at the moment. I think undercut I think will be stronger here with the higher temperatures, get the tyres up to 10, obviously fresher tyres, and obviously also dependent on track position, but as we saw before, then anything could happen, so the strategy could turn out anyway.
And currently, no drivers have peeled into the pits yet. It's confirmed that they will be pitting next lap, as currently we have not had the call for the pit wall for some of these drivers to pit. However the case is, some of the drivers are running quite low on the field, so Callum Gibbons, Azad, actually not Azad, but whatever the case is, Callum Gibbons and Deporto will be the first drivers to pit, so watch out for them as they will be pitting at around the same time. So they're basically nullifying each other's strategies here as we speak. But whatever the case is, with these varying strategies, we'll see which strategy ends up being the prime strategy come the end of this race.
Well, interestingly, as you said, Gibbo has eked out a gap a bit now. Domishnev now the gap now over a second, so Domishnev may just be not managing tyres as well as he could, and Gibbo just managing it slightly better just before his pit stop.
And currently, Kaczynski is catching Domishnev, is only 5 tenths behind, and currently here is Santini trying to hold off outside as Mama Cashew as well. Tries to make sure Cashew is as far away from the Lexus pack as possible. And here's Santini into the hairpin of turn 10. We get a good exit there as drivers barrel down to the East Horses main straight, or rather the back straight of this circuit. Just one, the Porto will be peeling into the pits there. We have a bit of a confirmation here. Yes, we have been given the call. The Porto peels into the pits. Callum Gibbons is next. Vlad Tomashev stays out on the track, as does Raji Kaczynski. Thomas New stays out on the track, as does Azad. Let's see if there will be other drivers peeling into the pits. Not quite, as the leading pair pits in for fresh rubber and a new set of fuel.
Yeah, so pretty early stop here compared to the last race, probably looking for obviously the fresh tyres and that more favourable track position, and hopefully that undercut may defend towards the end. So Domishnev currently inheriting the lead 5 tenths away from Kaczynski.
And as it stands right now, here's a game battle for Hololive gamers. You hand Rahim Viper at number 3, Okamimio Honda, and Sergey Petrovich at number 5, Nakamoto Kayo Nissan. Let's see where these battles will end up. Here's Mama Cashew trying to catch Santini, but to no avail so far. Here's Raji Kaczynski holding on to second place behind Vladislav Domashnev in the race lead. Well, provisionally in the race lead. It's a gross race lead. The net race lead is currently on Matias 1, Deporto's hands, as we're looking at the gap between the leader. Here is a gap, only 31 seconds, so Matias 1 Deporto has a very solid chance to retake this championship, to retake this race lead. But for Callum Gibbons, this could be a battle between him and Domashnev for second place.
Yeah, I think Gibbons just slightly losing out that Deporto on the pit stop and just slightly losing that gap between Domishnev, so possibly a slightly slower pit stop, or possibly just not really getting that tyre warm up at the moment. So he's definitely want to put his head down for the next couple of laps if he wants to hold on to that second place.
Looking at the race model, who will be the next to pit? Vladislav Domashnev, actually. Santini, Raji Kaczynski, and Andrew Rakhimbayev. So Vladislav Domashnev is going to respond as soon as possible by pitting as by pitting at almost at the same time as Porto and Gibbons. So we're going to need to take into a live guess here. So the battle for the Machine is at Gibbons and not the Porto. It's going to be a given that the Porto is going to hold on to the race lead. So here is Kaczynski and the Machine peeling into the pits, as does Santini and Rahimaev.
Yeah, obviously, Mishnev pitting straight away after Gibbo doesn't nullifies that tyre advantage, so it's more just getting that track position. And I think he gets there with the tyre warm, but maybe close head towards pit exit, so a very important pit stop for that crew.
Look, here's Callum Gibbons currently sitting in the gross 14th at the moment. It's a given for the Porto to hold on into this race lead. Gibbons is currently catching the Vladislav Domashnev, and Raja Kaczynski gets out of their pit box right now. Here's Callum Gibbons barreling down into the main straight. And currently, yes, they managed to cover off Callum Gibbons. Vladislav Domashnev now takes second place. And actually, Raja Kaczynski holds on to what is possibly third place at the moment. Gibbons has now lost 2 positions, but with those warmer tires there, look at Callum Gibbons tries to make a move around the outside of Raja Kaczynski to take a net third place. On the inside, will the move be made around the outside? Here's the battle between the 74 and 64 cars. Raja Kaczynski has the inside line, but it will be the outside line heading into turn 5, and that will be Callum Gibbons is net third place, but look, because this is not going to take a line down, it's going to be the inside line for Kaczynski, but Callum Gibbons holds on to third place. Good stop there.
Yeah, very good race for them. Gibbons offers him more favour with the warmer tyres. A very good move around the outside, getting that good run heading down into turn 5, which turned into the inside, and had such a good drive off that, you know, already made that gap anyway and was able to make it stick.
Currently, Thomas Snooks is going to be exiting behind Gibbons and Kaczynski. Azad will probably be in 6th place there. Cashew has now been unleashed to try to claw back the lost gap after staying behind Santini. And as of right now, Cashew is a smidge ahead of Santini after taking into account pit stops. And actually, here it is. Juan Suharto is now appealing into the pits. The next driver to peel into the pits, by the way. And who will be the next driver to peel in? We're going to need to pay attention to some of the gaps here, the fuel. But this one opponent is holding on to a net 9th place, net lead at the moment. Sergei Petrov is holding on to, yes, Sergei Petrov is going to be peeling in this lap, as well as Mama Cashew later on. As for Phu My, and actually we did note that Putri Farah Kamal, she actually fueled quite a bit, but eventually committed to the undercut strategy, so that will be interesting for Putri Farah Kamal to see where she'll end up.
Yeah, interesting end up indeed. At the moment, Snook still holding the gross lead. The most obviously still yet to stop. So the net order at the moment we're saying is Deporto, Dimishnev, and Gibbo. Dimishnev now with that little battle between Gibbons and Kaczynski. Dimishev's now been able to set up a gap right now, and I believe this may affect the championship lead if the positions were to stay the same.
As for the championship lead at the moment, as for the championship permutations at the moment, with the Porto winning and the Mashev in 2nd place, Gibbons in 3rd. Looks like Gibbons will still hold on to the championship lead at the moment. As for, but it will, the gas was going to definitely open up. And with Phu My being the biggest loser out of everyone so far, well, I'm not going to be surprised to see Phu My dropping off the championship lead down to 5th on back.
So definitely not the ideal round for him, and they said no points at all. So just the worst possible outcome.
And the worst possible outcome there for the Vietnamese driver here. He sees Sora as technically his goddess. To see him not perform well, he's going to be a bit gutted here. Snooks and Azar have been matching their pace together. They will exit, looking to exit ahead of Gibbons and Kaczynski. Sergei Petrov is now peeled into the pits for his pit stop. And as for some of the remaining drivers here, we're about to pass through halfway of Split B Race 2. The outlook for the championship is getting, we're seeing a flip-flop in the championship permutations at the moment, especially at the front so far. Dimashnev, hang on, 52.2, that's a personal best. So yeah, we're going to be seeing a huge shake-up in the championship from the top to the bottom.
Yeah, definitely shake as well. So not just for the lead, but also for the midfield. Such the gaps were so close together heading into this round, and such different fortunes for varying drivers. So it just shows how things can change very quickly.
We We have been seeing Russell Fortune so much here in Hololive GT3 throughout the season so far. And right now, Gibbons and Kaczynski are battling out for what looks to be a net third place. And as it stands right now, Gibbons is pretty slow. Kaczynski is catching up. Kaczynski, of course, is later than Gibbons by just a lap. So Kaczynski has this ever so slight tire advantage. And right now he is faster than Gibbons at the moment. He's hungry for that third place.
Yeah, Gibbons just not really converting it with that straight to the motor, so obviously not favoured from that pit stop and not really showing the pace in the second stint. May potentially lose the podium.
And right now, Kimbayev is currently past Sergei Petrov for 12th place at the moment. I think this is a net position because they have already pitted. Kizwara Leo has yet to pit and is looking to exit behind Sandy Lee as it stands at the moment with the 35 seconds added to his pit stop. So that will be one to look out for Kizuhara Leo.
Yeah, one to look out for indeed. So at the moment we've still got Snooks and Azad still yet to do their pits. I believe the top 6, yeah, still yet to do their pit stops as well. So just really stretching out the stint here.
Phu My is stretching the stint as much as he can, try to stay inside the top 10 for as long as possible before inevitably making his pit stop. There's Azad, who's looking to pit later in this race. The next lap, the lap after Kizuhara Leo is looking to pit, and Thomas Snooks will be one of the last drivers to pit. So we may want to pay attention to see if the overcut strategy is working, but right now it's working, but ever so slightly.
Yeah, as for the net lead to Porto, I think it's nearly 5-second margin on second place of Dmytryov. So really taking control. Good job converting that pole at the start, and you know, barring any major catastrophes, is well in control for this race.
Kaczynski trying to catch Tom Gibbons for third place. Only 4 tenths separating in between the two. Right now, there's not much of a chance there for Kaczynski. Both of their cars are equal on tires virtually. They have the equal machinery. Both of them are running Lexus equipment, but not to Roboko and Yuzuki Choko running the halter tops in their idle uniforms. So right now, Kaczynski trying a way to pass Count Gibbons. The gap is still 4 tenths. Kaczynski is going to try to eke out the gap slowly one by one. As it stands, it's... Wait for it. As that's the next driver to pit, as does Mohamed Kashiu. They will be the next drivers to pit. Kizaralio staying out on track, as does Catherine Vasilyev. They will be pitting later this lap. And yes, they will be we have seen confirmation here. Yes, Kizaralio, Catherine Vasilyev will pit at the same time. Thomas Snooks and Phu My will also pit at the same time as well. So looking at a lap 14 pit stop for the remaining 4 drivers.
Yeah, so yeah, top 4, yeah, gross top 4 at the moment still yet to do their stops, and Deporter should probably resume the gross 5th place at the moment, and eventually the lead as the top 4 make their pit stops, and still in control. And I think Givo is still under pressure from Kaczynski as well.
Actually,
with a bit of a kerfuffle here.
Actually, Azad has managed to pass these 2 drivers. I mean, now Azad's back into the net podium at the moment, and currently Azad is in 3rd place trying to fend off Count Gibbons, who's hungry for that podium position. He knows every position counts, and currently Azad's now slow off the line, and see if Kaczynski can try to make a move around the inside. Not so much. Kaczynski's losing out. Azad's winning in this case. Because Gibbons, I believe he started on the front row, is now down to 3rd. No, Gibbons did start on the front row, but is now lost out to the Mustang and the border, but he now has the next best thing, which is the 3rd place.
Yes, I believe that's obviously 1 place down from his starting position, but still a solid result. But obviously not ideal in terms of the championship rival, but that could have ended a lot worse there. So just lucky to be able to hold on to that position.
And as it stands right now, the Porter winning, Domashnev in 2nd. Domashnev will still get a few points there, left, right, and center. We'll wait and see the calculation to see who will win the championship. But as it stands right now, it's very slow to 1:035. Kizwara Leo is now committed into the pit stop, as does Catherine Vasilyev. Phu My will do 1 more lap. So it's confirmed that Thomas Snooks and Phu My will be pitting on lap 15.
Actually, one thing to note, because of that battle between Gibbo and Kaczynski, the gap between Snooks and Gibbo is now 36 seconds, and we said that the pit delta is around 35 seconds. So, despite that slow lap, if Snooks can keep this up, he may have the potential to jump this group.
To jump this group, yes, he may just be able to take third place away from Callum Gibbons, so it's quite momentous there in the championship battle here, as they want to relish this battle as much as possible, because the Lexus team is not going to be sure whether or not they will have this winning form again. Now, remember, next round is at Fuji, which is basically in the weekends immediately after this, so...
what is off, Phu My?
Phu My? Yes, Phu My is off the track! Phu My, after he has already tangled with someone, and that will not do him any favors at all, especially as who was a championship leader, and now Phu My has been suffering a massively terrible round 6. So Phu My now out of the running on this basically race 2 here in Motegi. Now we try to mention that we're going to try to talk about how Lexus is going to relish this moment as much as they can, because the next round in Fuji is back to the Nissan and Hondas having the advantage, with the Lexus cars not having too much of an advantage in the straight, but have the advantage in the corners. Now, if you remember the season opener in Fuji, the Lexus cars definitely have pace around the corners, especially on the long right-hander of 100R, if I'm not mistaken. But yes, Phu My is now out of the running for sure. But whatever the case is, if Nissan and Honda want to have a chance to bounce back, it's the last 4 rounds of the season, because obviously the time is running out for the other drivers to catch up to the leading 5 drivers in the championship. But as for Phu My, that's probably it for him, as the Porter holds on to the championship lead. The race lead. Snooks exits the pits behind the Mashnev. Snooks exits ahead of everyone else. Callum Gibbons in 4th place, Adak Kaczynski 6th. This could be an interesting battle for 3rd place here. Tom Snooks is getting pretty slow off the line. He actually has caught Callum Gibbons unaware that they're going to be side by side. It's an interesting Lexus battle for 3rd place. Thomas Snooks are on the outside. And right now, Callum Gibbons takes 3rd place away from Snooks. There's a good battle here between a lot of these drivers. Snooks is going to try to have his tires activated as soon as possible in order to catch Gibbons. But like you mentioned, catching to one car is one thing, overtaking is another.
Yeah, Gibbons just being able to use those warmer tires again, still maintain that third position. I believe everyone has pitted now. Obviously, from behind the pits, that's a DNF after beaching it in the gravel. I believe that was a turn 3. And I guess we'll look at the progress chart here. So not really many big movers here. I think Kaczynski is the main loser here, but a lot of them have maintained position. Obviously, Porto is still maintaining that pole to possibly win conversion.
And currently, Motegi won the Porto is bringing in the Tsunamaki Watanabe car into the race lead. And the Mashnev is currently in 2nd. Gibbons in 3rd would mean that Callum Gibbons will comfortably hang on to the championship lead as it stands, but only barely. But with the Mashnev scoring 175 points here in Motegi, this would be very momentous for the Japanese registered driver. And as it stands right now, the Mashnev holds on to 2nd, Gibbons in 3rd, Snooks 4th, and now Snooks has his tires activated. Now his eyes are set to catching and maybe overtaking Callum Gibbons, who now has, I believe, 7 laps older tires than Snooks at the moment.
Yeah, older tires, but more crucially, holding track position at the moment. So I believe Gibbons definitely not going to catch up to Mashnev, and definitely not going for the win at this point. So I think top 2 are kind of on their own at this point. So I think it's more going to be a battle for the last podium position.
And for the last podium position, the battle is going to get pretty tasty there. Phu My, he sounds very dejected and very disappointed after what's basically a no-show in Motegi. He's looking to bounce back in the next round at Fuji because he knows this car has won before at that same track last March. But Phu My is looking to try to repeat that performance at Fuji. Or in the case is Phu My is currently feeling dejected at the moment, but he has not much time to contemplate about that. His eyes are now set to to try to rectify that mistake in the next round at Fuji. And as for some of the other drivers here, Leo is still good, consistently scoring in the points, but obviously scoring 9th is not going to do him good if he wants to challenge for the top 10 in the championship at this point. But as for the other drivers here, Snooks is catching Count Gibbons there with only just over 6 laps to go. Snooks is on a charge, is on a mission. Let's see if he can make this mission a success.
Yeah, obviously on their fresh tyres, they're all now warmed up as well, so if we catch up to get a gap early, 5/10 now. Gibbons obviously, I think out of this pack has the most worn tyres, but it's a crucially track position, so not really going to be any offense here, so it's all going to be about defense for the Roboco driver.
Oh yeah, by the way, the number A, currently in A, Santi D, he was 7th, but the overcut strategy actually worked for Mamakashi, who has been unleashed ever since Santi D has pitted. So Mamakashi has taken 7th place, but Santi D is catching, but only by a 10th of a second, so there won't be enough time for Santi D to catch Mamakashi. But as for the other Lexus drivers here, Snooks is sniffing into the rear end. Count Gibbons there, exiting turn 4. Let's see if he has a good exit there, exiting there. Snooks is closing, but it's not going to be close enough for Snooks to make a move around the inside. He has the fresher tires. He needs to focus on getting the exits, nailing the exits as much as he can as they exit the tunnel, exit the oval part of the track here at the moment. Azad tries to make a move around the inside. It's very ambitious, but not close enough there for Azad. The battle for third is pretty much alive.
Yeah, turn 6 there, not really a typical overtaking position, so a bit ambitious there, but obviously did not pay off. Snooks still maintaining that close half a second gap to Gibbons, so we could just hold in the slipstream and keep it in through these back straights, possibly looking towards a turn 1, 2, or 3 and 4 overtake, maybe even the last lap dive in these closing stages.
And as we're going to shift away from the battle for third, we want to talk about the leading driver. Here's Juan de Porto. Driver the number 3 Tsunamaki Watame Lexus. Now Tsunamaki Watame has been known to be a bard of all people. He has been known to make very soothing songs, and of course this is the motivation that the Porto needed to get himself into prime position to bring the car, her namesake car, to a win. Finally, after a close, after an attempt to win in Autopolis Race 2 didn't go as planned, the Porto is now comfortably holding onto the race lead. No Hondas in front of him, and right now the Porto is scooting away in the race lead, and hopefully as the laps wound down, he will be in the position to win this race and bring home another unique winner in the 2022 Hololive GT3 Japan Series. Al-Azad trying to catch Thomas Snooks. It's not close enough, but it is sniffing. And as does Thomas Snooks, trying to snip into the rear of Count Gibbons. We'll wait and see.
Yeah, I think Kaczynski just slightly cash up as well, maybe cashier as well. So this Lexus pack is going to be a bit more cluttered as it head towards the final few laps. Obviously, time running out. Gibbons still defending very well to this point, despite having those more worn tires.
Yeah, currently Snooks trying to catch Count Gibbons. 3 tenths now, 2 tenths actually. He's getting way close as Gibbons has now run out of grip as it stands.
Yeah, Snooks tries to focus on the exit. Actually, no, he focuses on the entry that will compromise his exit. And now Azad's on the mix. He's trying to make a move around the inside. Not close enough for... Actually, yes, he is close enough. Down the inside goes Azad around the inside. That's a very ambitious move there by Azad to try to dive bomb Thomas Snooks around the inside. That's an audacious move. How did they manage to get themselves cleanly off of turn 10? But the battle is continuing into turn 11. Who is going to edge ahead? Thomas Snooks gets 4th place as it stands. Azad's really sniffing that points as much as possible right now. And as it stands, it's Snooks' 4th place with only 2 laps to go.
Yeah, I'm very surprised that wasn't contacted. I think that was from so far back, like really holding on to those brakes there. But just because of that move, that's favoured Gibbo more now. Is able to make a bit of a gap. It's giving him a bit of breathing space. Only just over a second, Snooks might be able to catch up again, but it gives Gibbo the chance to have a bit of a breather.
But right now, Snooks is catching back up to Gibbo at the moment. Right now, the gap is now reduced down to a second once again, but with only
sorry, not 2 laps ago, 3 laps to go. Well, just over 2 laps to go at this point actually. Snooks is catching Gibbons with those very old tires here at the moment. The tires are very much worn. The grip is not sticking into the number 64 Roboco Lexus. Especially in the high-speed one where you need these tires more than ever. Snooks is catching them one by one, and now the gap is now down to 7/10 of a second. Let's see how much the gap has reduced by the time the lap ends, and we're about to start lap 20.
Yeah, Gibby was one of the first ones to pit earlier on, while did maintain that track position as we figured towards the end of the second, since those tyres, very worn at this point. He said not really handling those high-speed corners well, and in just under a lap, we're back to that 5/10 margin.
And right now, Azad is losing touch to Snooze. That move to make a dive bomb did not work out for Azad there, but how did they not make contact? I'm still astonished. Whatever the case is, Snooze is catching. This is where Snooze has the advantage, the grip around the sector 3 area. The last 4 turns, the gap is now dropped down to 4/10 of a second. It's now or never for Thomas Snooze to make a move. Final 3 turns into the chicane. Exiting the chicane. Snooze is really closing in. It's now 4/10, and it's still 4/10. And starting lap 20, Snooze sets the fastest lap, 49.8. Very good stuff there for the American.
Yeah, I think the first one into the 49s in this race now, I think everyone else has mainly been in the 50s or 51s, so Snook's definitely on the chart here, only 3/10 of margin, really in that slipstream, heading towards turn 3, just not close enough. We didn't want to go for a dive, so just not close enough there.
And currently Snooks is trying to get that exit done. Oh, really solid exit there, but not good enough as it stands there. The battle for the final podium positions. Snooks still not close enough there. Oh, actually we're seeing Gibbons getting a bit out of shape there, exiting turn 5. And as it stands at the moment, Snooze is going to try to catch him once again, but it's not going to be enough. The Porto still hold on to the race lead. The Mashnev in second. It's still going to be a Lexus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. A lot to talk about in these Lexus, specifically for these Lexus teams.
And so Azad under pressure as well, has lost touch with the last podium 5, is now under pressure from Kaczynski, 5/10 the margin as well. So definitely a lot of Lexus on Lexus action as we're headed into the penultimate lap, and now soon to be the final lap for De Porto.
Thomas Snooks tries to get a very good exit there, but gives it a bit of a spook there. The gap is now increasing just a bit, but it's now closing back up again. As we're about to start the final lap of the race, the Mashnev is into turn 11. De Porto is into the final chicane. De Porto is going to start the final lap of the race in the lead finally. In the number 3 Tsunamaki Watame Lexus, representing the shape bar that is Tsunamaki Watame. It's what Tsunamaki Watame has their song, My Song. That's the title, and currently Mateus wants for De Porto's song and dance for him to stay into this race lead. Thomas Nunez is really catching into Callum Gibbons right now. The gap is really closing. It's now 3/10. It's really closing. It's as close as it's ever been. This could be a move for the final podium position, but it's too far back there, Thomas Snooks. Will he make a move around the exit of turn 4? We'll wait and see. 371. Oh, he's lost out. Looks like he's given third place to lose at the moment, as there's not much opportunities left for Thomas Snooks to dive down the inside for that final podium position.
Yeah, it looks like the last opportunity will be that back straight on the East Road course start finish line, but as you said before, we had people like try and make the overtake at the final chicane, so we'll go down the wire here.
And right now, the opportunities are becoming more and more limited. De Porto is building up a gap to the Mustang by over 7 seconds here. De Porto has been one of the best drivers we've seen in this race so far. Basically the best driver by far. But here's when De Porto is soaking up the pressure, manages to have that master stroke of a strategy, and also securing that pole position as well to hold on into this race lead. Snooks is still unable to pass Callum Gibbons for third, but that is not the topic what we're going to talk about right now. Matias Juan De Porto running on the final turn. For all the Watamates out there, Matias Juan De Porto is winning for Tsunamaki Watame here in Lexus, in Motegi. Good job there for Matias Juan.
A very good job. The pole to win conversion, the absolute ideal scenario. Dimishnev is his second place there. Gibbo just holding on to the last podium position from Snooks.
Azad is in 5th at the moment. Kaczynski 6th, Cashew 7th. This is a dream day for the Lexus cars. As they finish, they lock out the front 7 positions there. Santini, Ikizura, Leo finish 8th and 9th. Andrew Rahimbayev finally gets to score a point for the first time since, I believe, Boyram Race 2. Or the case, it's a pretty okay showing in what is technically Okamio's home race. Deporto has to be very excited here at the moment. He is jubilated to finally able to score a win for Tsunamaki Watame.
Yeah, absolutely ecstatic indeed. But I just want us to say a big feels out to Phu My. It looks like probably got too much beans since turn 3, getting beached. Who was the championship leader coming into this round will score no points at all.
And speaking of the results here, we're going to be transitioning over into the race results. A lot of stories here to talk about here. And speaking of results, here it is. Motegi Deporto finally scores that elusive win. That long elusive win in the number 3 Tsunamaki Watame Lexus. Last on the match, finishes 2nd. Alan Gibbons is in 3rd. Thomas Nukes is in 4th. Azad in 5th. Raja Kaczynski 6th. Mamakashi is in 7th. Santini 8th. Kizuhara Leo 9th. And Rakhibayev is in 10th. Sergei Petrov 11, Putrikar Kamal 12, Mawasata 13, Captain Vasilia 14, and only completing 13 laps. Unfortunately, this will be Phu My, which will be the first DNF for the number 1 Tokyo Sora Nissan. Transitioning over into the replays to see what happened exactly to Phu My. Phu My hasn't had a very good race here at the moment, so we're going to be looking at one of the trackside cameras. So we're going to be taking a look into Phu My. So here is Phu My, who is not exactly who's currently second. Oh, takes a lot of goes into the grass there, makes a costly mistake of going too wide into turn 3. That's Phu My's error, unfortunately. So we're gonna need to get into the onboard. So Gibbo, you may want to take a closer look into the onboard shot of number 1 to the Soreness.
So as they head to turn 1, a little bit wide there, really squirrely there. So I don't know if it was like high tire wear or possibly like some kind of mechanical, but obviously not really stable there. And getting clips to grass there into the braking zone would be massive lock up there. Not really able to get the car stopped up and just into the gravel and beaches it, and that is race done and over.
Which is not going to play into the favors of Phu My at the moment. It's a huge commiseration from the Vietnamese driver. Now, as we're about to get into the championship context after round 6, we're gonna need to hear your thoughts about the split B round so far. But first of all, I would like to thank you, Gibbo, for being able to fill in for suddenly unavailable Alex Bowen. So, good job from Gibbo here in the commentary booth to try to fill in for Alex Bowen in the commentary booth, like I said. However the case is, I would like to hear your opinion about the whole Split B race, round 6 for Split B so far.
So as I said, new championship leader, and with Dimishev like beating out Gibbo in the second race, going to be very close in the championship standings. I think possibly even not quite. Well, obviously you're doing the calculations now. We'll get to that in a moment. But obviously, worst race possible for Phu My, and well, we have a new leader. I'll let you take it away.
Well. With Lazar Damasha taking 175 points overall, this is the best race he has ever done so far. Who knew that we have 3 championship leaders by the end of round 6? So as it stands, Vladisław Damashnev in the number 19 Akira Sato Lexus takes the championship lead away from Caleb Gibbons. The gap is still only 12 points, so there's all to play for. 24 points. Not exactly 28 points. No, wait. 34 points separate between Caleb Gibbons and Thomas Stooks. With Phu My barely able to score points, he's now went from 30 points ahead to basically 60, 70 points behind. Azar is also keeping himself steady in the top 5. Motegi Deporto with that win elevates himself up to 6th place. Captain Vasilia and Wamasarto drops down to 7. Andrew Rahimbai stays in 9th. Puti Farakama bumps himself up into the top 10. Sergei Petrov is now in 11th. Raja Kaczynski 12th. Cashew 13th. Santini 14th. And Kizuhara Leo goes his second consecutive 10th place finish. is in last place, unfortunately. But whatever the case is, Fuji is going to be a huge spanner in the works there for especially the non-Lexus teams, as this is where they'll have the advantage in the straight line. Now, as we're about to transition over into here, we would like to thank everyone here for tuning in into the live stream. That is the 2022 Hololive GT3 10 series. We'd like to thank everyone involved, the drivers, the commentators, and all that stuff, and especially the fans involved, especially the Hololive fans who have tuned in to watch this stream. So whatever the case is there, we'd like to thank everyone for being able to stick with us in series so far. We have 4 rounds to go, and the next round is actually in Fuji, actually. So we may want to pay attention to that round as well, as we're about to kick off the final 4 rounds of the season. So we want to pay attention to next to this weekend, because this weekend we will be seeing more cars race as we are about to prepare our return to Fuji. And whatever the case is, I'm Ahmed Shazir Reza, and we'll be seeing you at Fuji for round 7 of the 2022 Hololive GT3 Japan Series for both Split A and Split B.
Yep. As for next round, I believe it's this weekend. Saturday I'm racing OOR Enduro for Zolder, so I won't make that. Alright, cool. Thank you very much.